Welcome to episode 2 of the StatPad Podcast, where we go beyond the box score. I'm Caleb Hickman, joined by my co-host Milo Horton. Milo, how we feeling today? Early morning, getting this episode done.
We're doing the early morning podcast. It's definitely gonna be a battle, but it's gonna be fun. It's
You
gonna be
know,
fun.
we got to get this content out there. It's been busy times for both of us with work, moving apartments right now. As you can see, no Nuggets decorations yet, but they will be up there soon. Um, Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter at the StatPad Pod. We're starting to post some clips and stuff over there. It's been pretty good so far. Been seeing a little bit of love over there. Just going to keep posting over there, hoping that it grows. We're also now on Spotify. It's going to be the same full episodes over on there if you'd just rather listen to Spotify in your car throughout your day. Um, and we just appreciate the first week growth. Like we've had people interacting with us. We one of our good clips was Brunson versus Kyrie debate, and we had some polls out for that. So that was fun to see some reactions to that. And then as well, just email us or DM us on any of those socials. Our email is the statpadpod@gmail.com because we want to go over the stuff that y'all want to see. We want to go over debates you guys want. We want to answer y'all's questions. So if you have any questions, let us know. Give us some content to go over in these episodes. But let's get into some basketball. A pretty busy week, summer league in full swing, some really big news nuggets that we'll start looking at right here. And the biggest one, in my opinion, Kawhi Leonard trade is put on hold for now until the investigation with the Clippers is finished up. And what I was reading is that the trade is on hold because Adam Silver and the league fully believe the investigation will be cleared up before the season starts.
Yeah, I saw that it's been under investigation for a while now because they thought that the organization was pooling advertising money and just pumping it towards Kawhi's contract. But it seems like it's gonna clear up very soon. He's still gonna be a Raptor.
Yeah, I remember looking at it a while ago and then I really like re-looked into it. It was like a scandal involving a tree planting company and they were using it to like circumvent the salary cap just so they could pay Kawhi a big old contract and not take as much of a cap hit from it. So I mean, it's definitely a little like stingy, but I think they'll get it solved out and he'll get over the Raptors just fine. But if you're a Raptors fan, you saw that news and you're definitely holding your breath because, like we talked about last week, you're super excited to have Kawhi back in Toronto.
Yeah, I'd be so pissed if like they promised my superstars back home and then it just goes all to crap because they spent money on this massive stadium and now they have to pool money together just to pay for Kawhi's
Yeah.
massive contract. But it seems
Yeah.
like it'll all be good.
I think it'll all be fine, but it just was interesting to see because even though I'm not a Raptors fan, I want to see Kawhi in Toronto, which would be cool. Some other news, Gary Trent Jr., 4-year, $64 million contract. And props to his agent because that's absolutely unreal. But the NBA is probing the contract because that is just an unreal amount of money for Gary Trent Jr.
I don't know what they see or like you know the amount of players you could one get for that, multiple different players you could get, and the other like great role players or great like actual like starting guys that go for that amount of money and you're deciding to pay Gary Trent Jr. that money. It's just completely beyond me. Like that's a lot of money that's going to waste for multiple years. I just don't understand how that's feasible as an organization to pay a player that's not he has good stints, but like
Yeah,
not a consistent player like that amount of money.
16 million a year he's getting if you split all that money up, and you could really go and get two players for 8 mil each a year on not 4-year contracts, so you're not locked into long term with them, that could make probably a bigger impact than him. So I mean, I don't understand what the Bucks are doing. You're working through a rebuild. Why would you not open that money up? And why would you sign a just mediocre guy who is not like that's not a key piece of a rebuilding team?
Yeah, I honestly, it's just like maybe they're just trying to fill up to easily make the cap space minimum, but like it's just like what we're saying, it's just so like why you're going through a rebuild and you're just putting a massive plug through it, and it prevents you from really moving money around, really getting other players into the team that you can build around.
Yeah, it's definitely like I was just shocked to see that. But again, props to his agent, man. Like I
He's on
saw
demon time. Oh
I
my.
I saw something that was like if I was his agent and I did so well to get my client this amount of money that the NBA is having to probe and investigate it, I would be sick. I'd be
Oh my
sick.
gosh. Yeah, they're moving. His agent moving crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So in other news, Wimby max extension. After a very, very successful season, 5-year, $252 million. And obviously he's worth the money. Obviously he deserves to be paid the money of all the big. No, no, he
No, I'm
doesn't deserve the
joking.
money.
No, he deserves the money. He's the best player. He's freaking disgusting at
Yeah.
basketball.
So that was cool to see, especially with all his early injuries. Like I remember when he was drafted, the conversation was literally just will he stay healthy? And now we got our first basically fully healthy season, and it was just a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it's scary. It's honestly scary. Like that's what everybody was kind of like saying and almost like hoping for is that oh he's 7'5". That's just not gonna work out. I mean the history of somebody being 7'2" and above, it's just injuries flooding their career. But like Wemby has shown that he's put so much time and effort. I mean every clip you see is him working out, him taking care of his body, being able to maintain that health so you can perform at such a high level.
Yeah, for him, he really just has a lot of desire and want to be great. Because like when he came into this league, the injury talk was so big because I mean, he was super skinny, real thin, and um, training with monks, training in the off season to put on a ton of weight, like he really does just care a lot about basketball. So the contract is definitely worth it for him.
Yeah, and you see other players like I would say the most recent player that you could say that's like it was Kristaps because he was such a highly prospect player and he was very great for the Knicks. He was great for other teams as well. But like when he was on Boston, when he was on Dallas, he just kept injury after injury after injury, and just his contract just kept his value to as a player just kept dropping and dropping. So hopefully, you know, Wemby keeps this up for another 5 years and he's able to sign for another team or stay with the Spurs. Just it'd be really interesting to see how his health really does these next couple of years after playing full seasons and going through. He's going to be in the playoffs, so he's going to be going through the gauntlet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how worth it he makes this money with his time on the court because you never know like what could happen with that type of player and where injuries can come about and then a just steep drop off comes out of nowhere and just kind of ruins a franchise. So other big, I guess, like interesting news around the league that happened in the past week. Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo physical altercation at the Summer League. Apparently, Tyler Hero had said things on social media about Bam, and they saw each other, same spot. Bam approaches him to be like, "What's up, man? Like, why are you saying these things?" And strikes him, leaves a mark on Tyler Hero. They had to be separated, but no repercussions from the league, no nothing. It was just heavily reported on by media.
Tyler here got bammed in the face.
He did. That's
And
what they don't didn't name him Bam for nothing.
I mean, Tyler Hero was talk. He had a couple of like DMs leak to like random fans. I think it were random fans, and it was just like the stuff he was saying about his former teammate was low key insane. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah.
he low key deserves little strike to the chin, bro, for that. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. That
Yeah.
was that was so funny. But like and there hasn't been much going on this offseason. I love seeing all the reports just off of this fight because it's hilarious.
When I saw that news came out, I thought it was fake at first. I was like, what are we talking about? But nope, Bam hit that boy. And going off of that, I watched Giannis's introductory press conference 2 days ago, um, with the Heat, sitting down with the head coach and the owner and just talking to the press. And my one of my takeaways from that is that he's still just very much wants to win. Like he has a lot of respect for Milwaukee, which I mean, I don't think anyone thought there were burned bridges there, but I think he's just excited to kind of get a fresh start and be able to get back to competing, which is what he obviously cares about the most.
And it's just so like a player who's played so long for one organization moving to another, he's obviously excited about like when you see him like do a walk through the stadium of the locker room, he definitely seems excited. He seems pumped. He seems amped about the opportunity that's coming up. And he is still the Greek freak. He's still that guy. He's been having injuries. I mean, I don't know how like actual they are. It just seemed like he kind of like was giving up because the organization gave up on him. Like they just stopped building teams around him. They stopped like really caring about a superstar, a top player in the league. They stopped caring about him. And I think he's just excited to get to another organization, especially the Heat organization where they're such they're
They
always known
valued
for their
winning for so
mentality,
long,
like
yeah.
Eric Spoelstra, like he knows what they're gonna get out of the Miami Heat.
And it is just going to be interesting to see because some of their teams in recent years that have made these great playoff runs. Sure, Jimmy Butler was great. Sure, Bam Adebayo was great. But were these really the most talented teams? Not really. And now you get Giannis, who's just a perennial player in this league, and Bam, who has obviously taken huge leaps from where he was. Like on those playoff teams, he was the clear number two beside Jimmy Butler and still earning his own. But now you have both of them, um, and are just working to build around them. But you have the talent there that wasn't there in past years. And one of the other things I took away from it is Giannis is just very defensive focused. Talking with Bam, he was saying that they have to lead the way so that whatever roster they scrape together, because they've got no one left over there, they've got to lead the way on defense so that everyone else follows that lead and they can be a top defensive team in such an offensive minded league.
Yeah, well, I like what you said that like there's such a defensive like minded team this year, and we haven't seen something like that in a little bit. Where like the front court is kind of like gonna be the big staple
Hmm.
of the Miami Heat. We haven't seen that in a while, where you have kind of like a power forward and a center kind of being the main focus of a team. So I think, and with nowadays guards are uh so valuable throughout the league. We haven't seen I mean, there's definitely centers and stuff like that that are valuable. I have Victor Wembanyama, Jokic, but teams are kind of building around just one center and then plugging in a bunch of defensive players or
Hmm.
some offensive weapons. But we haven't seen a team really. It's a center and power forward, Bam and Giannis, and then everybody else. So like it will be interesting to see in such a offensive minded league, how they're gonna put up points and stuff like that to compete against these other teams. Uh, but yeah.
Yeah, I think of like defensive minded squads. I think of the T-Wolves a little bit. Obviously, they've got a lot of offensive firepower over there and a very like good roster with a lot of players that do their role very well. But I think of just a team like them who's just very dialed in on defense, especially when it comes playoff time. And obviously that translates to success. So it'll be interesting to see how it looks with the Heat. So some news from both of our teams. Give us a little time to grade our team's off seasons. Jordan Clarkson back to the Knicks, $3.9 million for 1 year. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's game changing, but Jordan Clarkson's a player that you can plug in some nights and he can go on a heater.
Yeah, it's no, we're just running it back. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think we're just trying to maintain because usually when you win a championship, the team kind of falls apart. Yeah, and you can't pay the players the right amount of money. We did lose Mitchell Robinson, but we're able to repay Landry Shamet, able to get back Jordan Clarkson. We're able to maintain those kind of role players that came off the bench that were so critical for us. Jose Alvarado. Yeah, Jordan Clarkson wasn't as impactful towards the end of the season. He was pretty impactful during the regular season, but once it came to playoffs, Jose Alvarado was definitely the main point guard coming off the bench, especially with Deuce battling injury throughout a couple games. So uh, it's not the biggest thing, but I think that it's still great that we were maintaining the roster as much as possible.
And it just makes me think, I'm like, how did Mitchell Robinson not want to return to the team? Like, was it a money thing? Did he
It was
feel
definitely a
like
money
he
thing.
he deserved to earn that kind of money?
He kept saying all over his social media that he wanted to stick with the Knicks. That was his biggest goal was to stick with the Knicks. But I mean, just like a couple of seasons ago, we had Isaiah Hartenstein. Isaiah Hartenstein, he played a couple of years with the Knicks and then became a really, really
Yeah,
valuable
yeah, a
center for our
great
team.
center.
And then OKC sees that and pays him 70, what was it, 74 million.
Big bucks, I
So
remember.
like we keep developing these kind of like centers and they just keep they're so like somebody like Mitchell Robinson, another team sees that and they can throw so much money because Mitchell Robinson proved himself that he could handle Victor Wembanyama, not handle, but like he could put up his fights against him, and that's so valuable to the league right now that teams like the Boston Celtics or OKC who are going to have to play these big powerhouse teams, they need that kind of center. Nikola Vucevic they saw that he's not going to be the center for them to battle these teams with better centers like Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama. It's just Mitchell was such a valuable player, and I just think when push came to shove, we just weren't able to pay him.
And yeah, it was clearly the same deal with Hartenstein because I feel like Hartenstein developed even more than Mitch just because he's a little bit better on offense. But like these centers that come over to the Knicks, they don't become like perennial all-stars or anything. They just become really sound big men, which is really hard to find in this league. And as you can see with Hartenstein, that kind of pushed them over to the top for their championship the year they won it. And he's just so great for them because he just does everything you need your center to do. He's going to set screens, he's going to give intensity on defense, he's going to protect the rim, and he's going to give you offense when you need it. And so it really is just kind of props to Knicks for being able to develop these guys because Isaiah Hartenstein used to be a Nugget. He used to be Jokic's backup, and he was absolutely terrible every time he touched the floor. And bouncing around the league a little bit after that, he goes to the Knicks, and suddenly he's probably a top 10 center in this league, I would say.
Yeah, I remember me and you were joking about it. Like we used to have his bronze Rockets card on 2K20
Yeah,
just on the
yeah.
bench just to lower overall. Like he he used to be horrible. Like he was so like he was just bouncing around teams just because he was 7 feet tall. And but it just shows that if you can develop a center, you can get a crap ton of money out of it because centers, they're hard to come by, especially a good sound one. Centers are risky because of that injury factor. Uh, and yeah, man, Mitchell, at the end of the day, you just couldn't pay him. He became too valuable, and like for a center like that who's been on not a high contract, you have to get those prime years really right and get that big contract because you could be bounced out of the league so fast.
And he definitely earned the money. Like, sure, everyone's gonna hate on him for the shooting and free throws, whatever. He's a sound big man who's gonna defend at a high level. He's gonna open up space on the floor, and he's gonna give you help on offense as well, just under the rim. And so it sucks to lose him. Jordan Clarkson coming back, but the Knicks, they've obviously got their core. They're still set up where they need to be. So in my case, the Nuggets finally have done something in free agency, and it's worth talking about just because it's like, I don't know. I don't know how the front office is moving, but we have signed Alpha Diallo, the EuroLeague Defensive Player of the Year, on a 1 year, $1.4 million deal. He took less money to come to the NBA than he would have gotten paid in the EuroLeague. And we also signed our rookie Trayvon Brazile, who we took at pick 35 to a 4 year, $9.3 million deal without him even playing in an NBA game so
It's a
far.
lot of trust. It's a lot of
And
trust.
I feel like in the case of Brazil, I feel like it backs you into a corner. Obviously, we'll talk about him later in the episode because I've gained a little bit of hope of him just from what he's been able to do in the summer league. But what this contract reminds me of is the Zeke Naji contract because his was a little different. We didn't sign him to it before he had played for us. I think we signed him to it like during his rookie contract, just a big extension. But it was $8 million for a guy that had barely stepped foot on the court that you are paying this money to be a project. And now at this point in the league, you can't have a project on your roster for that type of salary. You have to have, if you're paying $8 million for someone, it has to be a guy in the rotation. So it just scares me a little bit paying 9.3 million. Obviously, he's our rookie, like he was going to be in the rotation regardless to start out. But like if he turns out to be a bust and not in the rotation, that's money that we're trapped to for the next 4 years, like we have been with Zeke Naji.
Yeah, I mean, salary cap is just such an issue for a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that are being held down because there's such an inflation in paying players, especially with Donovan Mitchell getting 68 million. Like players are just becoming more and more valuable, and teams are throwing more and more like percentage wise of their salary cap at them. So it's harder to sign those role players and those players like coming off the bench. It's like do we really want to get rid of uh 3 million a year out of that payroll? So it's just it doesn't hurt to do that if you have a plan, but like it is definitely something that like you kind of bat an eye to because it's salary cap is just like there's not a lot of it. It's millions of dollars. Like it's a lot to like just us, but like it's hard to really piece together a 10-man roster with when you're paying each of them millions of dollars in 1 year. So it's difficult, but I think there's still it could work out.
It's a very slippery slope, just having to be strategic with how you allot money in the modern league. And I mean, I guess like you said, like maybe they have a plan for it. I think what has just stressed me out about this Nuggets offseason is I really just have not been able to get with the plan. Like I'll go through another segment raging about one of these players that I wanted them to draft later. And then also moving into the Alpha Diallo signing, like it means we're not going to re-sign Spencer Jones, who was a two-way guy that we turned into an NBA player, one of the first like developed players we've put out in a while, and we're just going to kind of let him walk when he was big for us in the T-Wolves series and had some really good games for us. And Some nights he wouldn't score, but he would be making an impact on the floor. But now we've got Alpha Diallo coming in, EuroLeague Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, it looks like our offense, we're trying to get size and defense, which is what we got in the draft, which is what we're getting with Alpha Diallo. But I don't think it's going to be on this level. But this reminds me of when we picked up Facundo Campazzo a couple seasons ago, a little Spanish point guard who, sure, he had some great like plays and effects for the team, but it's a player that has just faded into obscurity in the NBA and for the Nuggets and is not remembered too fondly just because he took up a roster spot and didn't affect winning. So I just don't know about an Alpha Diallo sign. It could be a smash hit or not.
Yeah, this could just be a elite poll in about a couple of years.
That's
This
what
could
I'm
be elite ball
saying.
knowledge soon, but it's interesting. You know, you bring in and Euro players definitely have extra heart to them. They definitely have extra. Every single time a Euro player comes to the league, they definitely b bust their butt, getting hustling, and definitely a defensive minded player like that. That could be a scary kind of like little
Yeah,
role player
and
that you
it
can
was
have on your team.
proven by like him turning down. He was going to get paid 2.7 million for his EuroLeague contract, and he's 1.4 to come to the NBA. So obviously, there's just desire to come and play there. That's about going to close it out for our recent news, and it'll move us into the big portion of our show today, Summer League talk. Obviously, this draft class has been unreal. We're getting near the end of summer league, so we'll be able to go over some of the final stuff next week. But let's just start out with like what the headlines have been for the last week. The top four in the draft: DeBonsa Peterson, Boozer Wilson. DeBonsa in his two games, 27 points, 23 points. Peterson in his two games, 24 points, 23 points. Caleb Wilson in his first game had 35 points, hit 7 threes, which was the same amount of threes he hit in his entire career at UNC. And then he had 19 points. And I think last night he dropped like 20 something or had 19 again. And then Boozer, whose team is in the final four teams like that will be competing to win Summer League. He's had 23, 21, 12, and I think he just had another really big game as well. So just thoughts on these four. And I know it's summer league, but like we've seen
Yeah,
some insane stuff on a summer
it's
league
you
level.
usually do not see this level of production coming from all four, not even all four of these first round. Like they are all putting up great numbers, which is kind of exciting to see as those top four organizations. Like, yeah, it's summer league, but they're all putting up numbers against. I mean, these are all NBA players at the end of the day. There's some players that are on their second year even. So it's really good to see. You got to be happy in an organization from all those ends. Uh, we're seeing these first rounders put up some crazy numbers, not
Yeah,
even these
usually
top
you
four
do not
guys.
have multiple 30-point games and players are not averaging 25. There's not like 10 players averaging 25 plus points in summer league, but
Yeah.
this year has just been like insane.
Yeah, Caleb Wilson definitely I mean, we both knew that DeBonsa and Peterson were going to be those kind of people. Caleb Wilson was kind of, a question mark. Caleb Wilson has jumped over that expectation by leaps and bounds. I mean, he just looks like such a athletic player, and it's helping him so much. And the fact that, like you said, he's hitting these threes all like oh, my little brother, he's a massive UNC fan, and he is so excited because a UNC player is going into the NBA season, and he's looking really promising. Uh, but even Cam Boozer, we had our Cam Boozer, or I had my Cam Boozer hate. I still don't think he's gonna be that good, but he's putting up great numbers, and you just have to, uh, tip your cap to him because all these guys are performing at a great level, and it's really good to see for their top four picks of the draft.
in Wilson's case, that game where he was knocking down threes, obviously the other two games or the other three games you look at him, obviously not 35 points, but the way he's scoring is just insane in all these games. In that first game with those 7 threes, they weren't catch and shoot threes in the corner or anything. He was taking the ball up the court. He was sizing up his defender and he was taking off the dribble step back threes, fade away threes, stuff that you have never seen this guy do, and he was making it look pure and easy. And then one of the highlights of the summer league in one of his next games, he absolutely I forget who he dunked on. He absolutely baptizes this dude. This dude jumps so high that he's like still so far away from the rim and he just throws it in the basket. It like his athleticism and ceiling is so unreal. And if he's able to shoot threes like that, get to the mid-range, get to the rack, do all that off a high level at a high level, then the sky's the limit for him being the face of the Bulls franchise.
Yeah.
And for Boozer, I just feel like Boozer is the quintessential player that belongs in Memphis. Just boring, kind of sound basketball. And I feel like I just feel like he belongs there. And it looks like Cedric Coward's going to be his running mate to be the best two players in Memphis. They've been lighting up the summer league and they don't really have anyone else that is on the level even of those players. So it's going to be, like we talked about last week, it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see how Memphis looks this season
Yeah, just the two of them have a whole basketball team kind of to do what they want.
and
And
grow. Yeah.
it's scary, but it's great at the same time. And you kind of have no expectations. You have nothing but to prove. You're able to do whatever you want, kind of really develop that game. And then once Memphis starts making the right moves and stuff like that, you can see this team growing real fast.
And in the case for DeBonta Peterson, we can't gloss over it because when DeBonta had his first game and dropped 27, I was reminded of Cooper Flagg's first summer league game, Wemby's first summer league game. These were insane, like franchise altering first overall picks. And they both had horrible first summer league games, and everyone was taught, oh, they're not going to be crazy. And AJ and Darren Peterson were not in that boat. Like they went out there and had a great first summer league game. They showed that talent that is already there. So I don't know. It just kind of goes to show how high their ceilings are as well, and how just NBA ready they are.
Yeah, they're just like with the Bonsa watching him because I've been seeing clips and stuff like that. He just like you said, he's just so NBA ready, and it's almost scary to see that like how ready he is. Like he's already got so much confidence going into these games. He's attacking the rim at an elite level. He's already foul baiting, which is great. So I think he's just ready to get
Padding
out on
those
that basketball
stats,
court.
especially in summer league, you can pad the stats crazy because until the last 2 minutes of the game, it's one free throw, and if you make it, you get both points for the free
Yeah.
throw. And so some of the stat pad is pretty
Yeah,
insane coming
summer
from
league is
summer league.
goofy sometimes.
So we'll move into some other standouts, not just the top four because this summer league has been crazy. And we'll start out with my favorite guy. Probably all eyes have been on him summer league. He's averaging about 28 points per game, and it's Malik Thomas for the Cavs, guard out of Arkansas, 19 years old. And it makes me angry every time I open my phone or watch him play because it was the most obvious smash hit pick. It is a John Calipari guard who's 6'5", has length, has already proven he can defend a little bit. He's 19 years old, and you're going to let him fall out of the first round to pick 34, it just doesn't make sense to me. I wanted the Nuggets to draft him at pick 26. I had him as a top 20 player in the draft because you don't bet against John Calipari guards and you pick a 19-year-old player who can just grow, grow, grow even more. And he already had such a high ceiling. So I'm not shocked in the least to see him dropping 20 points, 30 points, 35 points, and then I think 24 last night in Summer League. Um, but it is just infuriating that it takes me back to the draft, how some teams are drafting for fit completely instead of just taking the best available player.
Yeah, I think drafting is such a it's such a so hard, honestly. Like there's constant debates on who you should pick. They like just show the stats and stuff like that, and then you always pick like the worst player or something like that. It is so tough. Drafting is so hard, and the teams that are good at it, it shows in their team because they're able to draft these players, either flip them for draft capital or player capital, and it drafting is such a massive thing because if you can spot out those players and really develop them, you could really turn your whole NBA franchise because of it. But it also, if you're bad at it, it can ruin your NBA franchise. It can absolutely ruin it because you're just stuck in this hole where you can't find a star, can't find anything to trade for because you already trade away all your things. You're left with these bums just chucking up shots. Yeah, it shows like the Brooklyn Nets were such a horrible drafting team, and it shows because they just sit at the bottom of these leaderboards because they have these players that just they play, then they just rot on their team, and then no team wants them. They're not valuable, so they've gotten rid of their picks. They traded them away. They got MPJ and Julius Randle, and now like look where they are. This is their team now, and like you can just be so stuck in the mud if you're just not a good drafting team.
Yeah, a year ago they had four first round picks, and you'd expect that at least obviously they're going into their sophomore season, so it's nothing crazy, but like you'd expect that at least one of those players would show signs of something great when you have four first rounders coming in the team. But no, and that's just kind of how you stay stuck. And back to the Malik Thomas talk. I mean, obviously, I'm not a GM, I'm not in a front office, but I just feel like there's times when there's such an obvious pick or a player that you know is going to just have it. Like he just has the spunk, he has the intensity when you look at his interviews. And in the case of the Nuggets, I felt like it was a perfect fit. Christian Brown's been struggling. Obviously, what our front office is trying to do is make us a contender right now, but I don't see that happening. I think it would take a miracle for us to be on the level of top NBA teams in the league right now. So I wanted to get a guy like Malik Thomas, who's a shooting guard, can sub in for Christian Brown, who's been struggling because Malik Thomas is an unreal shooter. Well, that's what CB struggles with. And he's going to be 19 years old, so it would give us a player to build around and have after Jokic, after Jamal Murray, once that kind of core of the team fades away. And I was just really disappointed not to get him because I wanted him at 26. We traded back to 35. Picks go off the board. Richie Saunders goes off the board. Isaiah Evans goes off the board, who I would have liked. There's one pick in front of us. And then he goes to the Cavs right in front of us. And it makes me wonder if we were even going to draft him. But again, obviously, I'm not a GM. I don't see it how I see it. And we got a guy, Trayvon Brazil, who I'll mention here in a second, who seems to have some juice here in the NBA so far. But that'll bring us into my next standout, LeBaron Philon. Philon. Can't be an episode if I don't mention this guy out of Alabama. Again,
Blaze, bro.
another player who was just proven. And you look at the tape and you're like, this guy is going to be a stud in this league. People had him going top 10. He drops all the way back to the 20s and goes to the 76ers. An absolute steal. And now in Summer League, he's just showing that he has the capability to just take anyone one-on-one and score. 18 points, 24 points, 17 points. I think he had another good game the other day, 19. Um, just a stud, man. Just a stud. Like, I don't know how he fell that far.
Yeah, it's honestly really annoying the fact that these Sixers
Get such a steal by just
get
sitting
a
there.
steal. The Sixers are just, oh, they're pissing me off so much. They're
LeBron,
pissing me off.
LeBron.
And they could get LeBron too. And they have young players, and I mean, they still have Joel Embiid on their team. So, but they're honestly just pissed me off in the fact that they're doing well. Like they're making the right decisions. They're making the right calls. They're making the right trades, and it's scary right now. I just don't want to see if Philly's like a dominant team or something like that. I might actually just might quit, bro. I honestly quit if the Sixers are up because I'm just so used to them being trash.
They are just a big question mark this season. And in LeBaron's case, like he's just must-see TV. But how I kind of see it is there's zero way for him to get into the starting lineup this year unless there's an injury. Are you benching Tyrese Maxey for your rookie? No. Are you benching VJ Edgecombe for him? No. Are you benching Jaylen Brown for him? No. So obviously he's coming off the bench. Obviously he's going to give you great minutes off the bench and be one of the best players off the bench in the league, I think. But a pathway I kind of see for him is like a Tyrese Halliburton pathway where you're on the bench and you're giving good production and you're showing flashes. And when you get these moments to start, you're playing great. But eventually you're going to get out of your rookie contract or you're going to get shipped off to help the 76ers compete, maybe. And you're just going to keep raising your value. And then when you get the reins to a team, you're that type of player that can completely alter a franchise. So I think he'll be great for the Sixers, but I still want to see him in the future be a starter because I think that's just the level of talent that he is.
Yeah, I like that kind of like with the Tyrese thing. Like he can develop as a player, and then he gets traded to a different team and really makes an impact on that team. I think it could be interesting to see how he grows as a player with these superstars alongside him, see how he develops and see what he learns from these incredible players like Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Jaylen Brown.
Exactly. You get to sit behind some of the better guards in the league to help develop you as well. Like with a lot of he's got all the talent right now and knows a lot about the game, but he has a chance to learn even more from players who have just cracked the code of how to succeed in the NBA. It's going to be fun to watch him in his rookie year. That'll bring me to next summer standout, Braden Berries for the Bucks, went at pick number 9, I believe. Um, he's been great, just a super sound guard. 18 points, 26 points, 23 points. He's just going out there every night and dictating the pace and dictating for the Bucks in summer league. And so, again, it's only summer league, but he should be a big bright spot for them in this upcoming season with how that roster has turned out.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a player who gets drafted into that kind of organization, it's scary because you have to
The
produce, or
expectations are so high.
you're just gonna wither away because they're just struggling over there in Milwaukee after this Giannis trade.
But I think he's going to give them something to enjoy this season at least because that's just a player that is very consistent and going to go out there and get stuff done even if the rest of your even if you're losing games. He's going to make himself into a piece that they can at least build around for the future. So that'll take us into the Trayvon Brazil talk as one of my summer standouts. His first game in Summer League, he had 5 points.
Ooh.
And then he was injured the next game. And that injured game was the day after we paid him that contract. So people were saying, oh, Nuggets paid them his contract and now he's injured. Like that's just how it works for the Nuggets. But then he comes back, plays game three, 32 points on 11 of 19 shooting, six threes, and then in our most recent game, 19 points. And what I've seen from Brazil, I got to watch this guy play in college when Arkansas came to play Alabama. And the reason Alabama was able to win the game was because Trayvon Brazil could not score the basketball. And for him, he is humongous, super tall, super big wingspan. And Arkansas was kind of having to play him as a center and force him to protect the rim to win games. But now in the NBA, he gets to move into that that power forward role, that small forward role even, where he's just a better fit. And if he can shoot the basketball, it was just shocking to me to see him shoot the basketball like this. He hit a buzzer beater right before halftime. He caught the inbound. He shot it regular form from half court, banked it in. Um, if he can shoot the basketball like that and fit in well with his already defensive minded abilities next to Jokic and next to Jamal, CB, Cam, Aaron Gordon, then he can be worth the money that we're already paying him.
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see when these players in college, it's not as tall of a league
But
when
then
they
they
come to
translate better, yeah.
yeah, I like when they like go to a different position and have a different role like Cooper Flag on Duke. He was such a they almost had him play. They played him mainly like a point guard at Duke because they had such a tall lineup and stuff like that. They didn't really have a main ball handler on that Duke team, and they had a young kid like Cooper play that ball handling role because he was such a skilled player. And now he's coming to he's worked on the Mavericks, and yeah, he's still ball when Kyrie's out, he's been ball handling and stuff like that, bring the ball up the court, but like he's transferred into that small forward, power forward role mainly. And I think it's cool to see these different types of players with their size and length develop their skill so that they can be like a 3 and D wing, or they can be these kind of like flashy players in different positions.
And the plan was to come on to this episode and just rage at the Nuggets front office. But when you have this guy go out there and put up an incredible summer league performance, it appeased my wrath a little bit. So now I'm just waiting to see how he's going to fit in and if he really is going to be able to contribute as a bench piece, as a plug and play piece to a team that is trying to get back to competing. So, some other guys I just want to shout out. Any of these guys we can talk about because they've had, I'll give kind of a breakdown of their summer league, like how it's gone down. Common Malawak, he's had a great summer league. He's been scoring the basketball, he's been getting blocks. It's great to see, especially when he was kind of buried on the Suns last year and didn't really get the opportunity to sign. I know we both watched a lot of him at Duke, and it's interesting to see his development, and it'll be interesting to see how he is for the Suns this year.
Yeah, I literally I popped down after work, heated up some frozen taquitos. I popped on a game and he was shooting threes. And I was like, what in the world is going on with Malawak? Like he's really just like I can tell he's really just taking the summer league like as a chance to really prove his worth. He kind of reminds me of the Suns uh trials with Bull Bull. It's kind of like he had the same like awkward like shooting form, and but like if he develops as a player, he can be a valuable center, 100%. Like he's still new to basketball. Like he's still developing because he started a little late, but like you definitely see some positive feedback from how he's playing. And if you could really get that, it's less Mark Williams basketball and the Suns, which Mark Williams hasn't been playing bad. But like it's another center that you can go to and have off the bench that's not that you could use for specific games and specific players that you have to play.
Yeah, I just like I was just shocked when I saw his stat lines he was putting up. I was like, dang, I've honestly like kind of forgotten he's just hanging around in the league because I just didn't think his game was translating. But it shows that he's putting in some effort, and we'll see how it translates to the regular season. Could be really interesting to see how the minutes breakdown at center is for them next season. But some other guys I'll shout out and we can go through. Mikal Brown Jr. for the Nets has been great, had some really big games. Ibuka Corey for the Grizzlies as well. Or no, not for the Grizzlies. The Pistons. For the Pistons, he has had some really great games as well. Yaxel Lindenborg, we talked about him last week, had some really good games. Warriors are in the playoffs of the summer league because he's been great. Darius Acuff, our stat pattern of the week last week. Still, efficiencies aren't there, but he's been putting up really good numbers, still just earning his own. Keaton Wagler, I thought he was worth mentioning. His first game in Summer League, he had 2 points. He went 1 of 7. That's the fifth overall pick to the Clippers. But then in his next game, he had 23 points. He figured that out a little bit, calmed the storm. Um, I feel like he's going to be a very bipolar player this year. And then Henry Visar as well. He's kind of rode the bench in Summer League, but game 3 for them when Ejiofor, Flemings, and a lot of those guys sat out, he got the chance to play and shine as the main guy. He had 20 points and 4 threes. But we can talk about any of those guys, just any notes about them.
Yeah, I think these are all players that like there's potential for all these players. I definitely potential for something like Darius Acuff and Henry. Like these guys all have potential. I mean, it's just how their organizations end up using them and developing them. Because these could be great players that could just never see the light of day, and never really have a chance to shine. But Keelan Wagler, he's gonna be like you said, he's a shooter, so he's gonna have off and on nights, especially in his rookie year. But if he's on, he can really shoot that ball. So there's plenty of upside for these players, but there's also with the teams they're on, it's hard to gauge really how they're going to be able to develop as players.
And again, I've said this all episode, it's just Summer League. And people try to write narratives about these guys off a couple summer league games because we're just yearning to have basketball and it's all we've got. But it is getting to watch some of these rookies that people are super excited about go head to head and play basketball. But it in the grand scheme of things, it means so little for how the majority of these players' careers are going to turn out. And that brings us into the next part of the summer league talk is some disappointing players I've seen so far. I've got a couple that just they were high drafted. I was a little excited for them and they've just been struggled a little bit and there's been some obvious flaws for a couple of these guys so far in summer league. A guy I had on here was Nate Ament, the other high draft pick for the Bucks. In his first 3 games, he had 5 points, then he had 6 points, then he had 7 points, and was shooting terrible efficiency and just could not find a way to score the rock. In his fourth game, he had 23 points. He figured it out a little bit. But this is a guy, people get mad at the KD comparisons. All I can do is compare him to KD when I watch him play. His ability to change direction at almost 7 foot as a small forward and rise up in the mid range is just so Kevin Durant-esque, even though people hate on it. So, yes, people are calling him a project. Yes, he's got to get his efficiencies up, but I got to watch him when he came and played Alabama. It's a player that the ceiling is just really there for if he can figure things out. And Ademara is another guy on here, out of Michigan, 7'3" big. People wanted him to go to the Hawks in the top 10. He fell to the Thunder. Of course, they get a 7'3" big to go at Wemby because they always just get great picks. But he has not been great at all. He has not flashed anything super great in these playoffs or in the summer league so far. Yes, he's had some good passes. He's taken the ball up the court a couple times, which has been interesting to see. But when the Nuggets played him, that was the Trayvon Brazile game. He could not do anything. On offense, he was a liability. On defense, Brazil was going at him every time. Our smaller guys were going at him every time. He seemed slow. He seemed like when you got him in an ISO, he just could not handle himself. And so obviously I think he'll be fine. He's a 7'3" big. He's got to learn to develop, but he's got a lot. He seems like he's just a college big when he takes a drop off, and it seems like he's got a lot of flaws right now.
Yeah, I think we keep saying like, "Oh, how's OKC getting away with this?" Like, still think there's a lot of developing to be had with Mora. Like, I think that he still has a lot of aspects and flaws that he has to develop his game around that he could get away with in college ball, but like the NBA, you're just not gonna be able to get away with some
It's
of the
really
stuff.
simple to be a center in college. You got to be able to dunk the basketball, set screens, and defend.
Yeah, but like once you get to the league, you have to have an offensive bag. You have to be able to guard these players if you get mismatched, who are so explosive and so athletic and so skilled at what they do that they could really take advantage of you. So it's something that you definitely have to learn. And once and it's simple, it's simply if he gets it or not. And it he could get it, he could not get it. It's time will tell, but like he's definitely a project for that OKC team.
The one thing I will say is the Thunder do an outstanding job developing their talent. So he's definitely in the best spot where he could learn to make a difference. He also has Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren with him, two tall players who can really teach him a lot. So obviously there is still great room for him to succeed, especially on a Thunder roster who's a top three team in this league. And then my last big disappointment, who is also our stat patter of the week, Dalen Swain out of Texas, the pick that the Bulls took along with Caleb Wilson. This dude's been covered up his struggles in the summer league because Caleb Wilson has been so good. Dalen Swain has put up terrible performances all throughout summer league so far. He's 3 of 26 overall and 0 of 9 from three. This is a longtime guy out of Texas, big shooting guard who they picked to plug in there along with Caleb Wilson. And I don't know, like obviously I think he'll figure it out as well. But in the case of the Bulls, players go there, and if they don't get it going, they just fall apart, like Rob Dillingham. So we'll see what he can do to figure it out, especially when they go and they draft Dalen Swain, when LeBaron Philon was still on the board, when Ibuka Corey was still on the board, when Bennett Sturts was still on the board. So he's got to figure it out when the regular season starts. Caleb Wilson's got to have a running mate this season.
Yeah, I think that, you can't get them all right. So, I mean, as long as if you're the Bulls, you're just happy that you got one right with Caleb Wilson. Uh, you're not too worried because you did hit on that one player. So, I mean, all he can do is try and develop and try to get better, but he's been putting up some pretty horrible numbers.
And a positive for him, like I said, is that he's not in the limelight of the Bulls organization and being the Bulls rookie because Caleb Wilson is so good and so heavily viewed by the media, all that. So he's going to be able to kind of develop off to the side a little bit and be out of the central view of the media. So it gives him a good shot to turn it around when the regular season starts. And some guys we almost had for stat patter of the week, there weren't any like really stat patters this week. So I was looking at guys who were just kind of chucking up bricks, trying to pad the stats, and it was just working out disastrous for them. It was almost Cody Williams this week, his third season in Summer League, 10th overall pick 3 years ago. Um, he's out there putting up 0 point performances third season in Summer League as a former top 10 pick. He has just showed no development for the Jazz.
Yeah, he is sorry. And this is your third year playing summer league ball, and you're still not finding out how to drop buckets in summer league, out of all things. Like it's honestly sad, but the Jazz have other things going for them, so I think they can leave Cody Williams in the past.
Yeah, yeah. It obviously it hurts. Like he was already a project pick when they took him, but they've got Darren Peterson, they've got other guys that can fill the void. But obviously it sucks. Like he's been one of the worst players in the league over the last couple seasons. And another guy who almost won it, Drake Powell. He's going into his sophomore season. He was drafted 22nd overall last year out of UNC to the Nets. Before his most recent game, I forget what his exact like shooting split was combined, but he was putting up 1 point on 0 of 7 shooting, 4 points on 0 of 4 shooting. Then he finally, in his most recent game, he had 18 points on 6 of 10 shooting. But he was a guy that should have went back to college, I feel like, for UNC. He was a project pick, but he saw, oh, I'm going to go in the first round. I need to stay in the draft. And then he goes to the Nets in the 20s, which is just like a death sentence, I feel like. Because if you go to the Nets, hopefully you're a top 10 guy who's really good and already ready to make a difference. But he was a player that needed to go in the 20s, 30s to a good team that could develop him and plug him in. He goes to the Nets and now he's just like sinking on that team.
Yeah, it's just the blind leading the blind on that team. I don't think there's any players there that can really help him develop. So this guy's really just out them for himself, trying to get something going, but it just seems like not much is going for him.
And at UNC, he didn't really do anything tremendous. Obviously, you saw some upside there with some of the stuff he was able to do, but right now it's not looking good for his future in this league. So that'll wrap up Summer League talk for us this week. We'll be back to cover some of the final stuff from the playoffs in these next couple of days and next episode. But we'll get into some debates this week. No power ranking changes this week because there's really nothing like major that would warrant changing the power rankings. Yes, maybe the Raptors move down a little bit because of the Kawhi thing. Maybe some of these free agents signings change the rankings a little bit, but I didn't think it was worth going back through them this week. So we're going to debate the current top 10 NBA players in the NBA right now. And I've got my list. I've got some guys here. I felt like I was leaving people off, and hopefully I'm not leaving them off. But we'll start at number 10 on my list.
I think we should start from the top
You
because
think
I
we
think
just and then build it?
yeah, I think we should
Okay,
start from the top and then go down because I think with the further you go down, the more debatable it is.
you're right. I like that idea. So we'll start at number one, for me at least. We'll have a big conversation between my one and two this week because every time I say he's number one, yes, it just looks like bias. But one of our really good mutual friends who's a Thunder fan, um, every time we talk to him about the best player in the world in the league, he agrees that it's Jokic. He agrees that the difference he makes is just a little bit bigger than Shea what he's been able to do, all that. So my number one, had to get the shirt on today. I think it's still Jokic. I've got Shea at number two, and I feel like the gap is closer than ever. I feel like the gap between them is the closest it's ever been, and Shea is like even right there. And I wouldn't even be mad when people put him at number one, but I still have Jokic at number one, and I've got Shea at number two.
Yeah, I agree that Jokic still has a little bit more of that edge because he is a player who pumps out assists, pumps out rebound. He pumps out numbers on all aspects of the game, and he makes
Night
an
in and night out.
insane difference on a team that is struggling right now. But like he is just a player that makes such an impact on the floor, and teams are having to completely shift their defenses to stop him, but he still pumps out triple doubles after triple doubles, and it's just something like only the best player in the league can produce multiple like 50-point triple doubles in a season. He just like the way he plays basketball is just so clean, and it's just he understands it at a different level where I think Shea on OKC. Like OKC is a very dominant team. Shea's an incredible player, but I do think Jokic has that a little bit more of an edge for the aspect that he's not on. He doesn't have these weapons around him. He doesn't have these outstanding players around him, but he's still putting up insane numbers.
The play styles are also always in the debate when you converse about these two ethical hoops versus unethical hoops, whatever. But again, I feel like this conversation is the closest it's ever been. And I feel like this could be a season where Shea kind of moves up in the rankings. This last season was the first season in a really long time that I have not been on the Jokic should win MVP train. I knew it was going to be SGA, and I felt like it should have been SGA last season. So that says a lot because I've thought Jokic before this last season should have won like five straight MVPs in a row. I think he should have won it over Embiid. I think he should have won it over Shea when he won his first one. So it says a lot about how Shea is moving up in the rankings. Number three, I got the man who just signed his contract.
Victor Wembanyama.
Yep, we'll throw him right there.
Victor Wembanyama is just an incredible player. Wouldn't be surprised if he jumped to the top this year, and his jump this year was incredible.
People
Not
were
only
saying, I wasn't one of these people. People were saying he's the best player in the world at the end of
I'm
the season.
yeah, I mean he was proving that. He was a dominant player. He was shooting the ball incredibly well. His defensive stats were insane. He is developing into one of the greatest players that the game has ever seen at this stature. And I think that, putting him at three is safe right now, but I totally think that he's in contention for that one or two spot in this upcoming season.
Dang, I would have thought you tried to argue Brunson over Wemby.
Brunson over, we don't want to get in that debate.
So we'll move to number four, my number four. And this is where it starts getting a little chippy, a little iffy. But for the past like two seasons, I've been very convinced that the top five players in the league are these four and five. Jokic, SGA, Wemby, and at four I've got Luka Doncic. Because yes, there's been some injury stuff. Yes, there's been the whole ordeal with him moving to the Lakers. But if you look what he did with the Mavs, from the moment his career began, he was just incredible. Putting up stuff you could never imagine someone so young do with the way he plays the game was incredible for the Mavericks. And when he is healthy for the Lakers, he's dropping 50-point games. He's scoring at will. He's leading the team. And I think, sure, the Lakers are not really competing for a title, but I think when you have Luka Doncic on your team, you're going to be a good team. And I think Luka is incredible. So I have him at four.
Yeah, I think Luca is still he gets a lot of hate even though he is putting up incredible numbers, he still gets a lot of hate because he hasn't won anything. He hasn't won an MVP. He hasn't won the finals. He hasn't gotten like he is still an incredible player, and I think people will easily forget about that based off of like the controversy around his career, just with him moving to a new team. I think LeBron on the Lakers has kind of dwindled his talent level and the fact that he's having to like carry a team with like kind of a an older player on his way out. I mean, it's still LeBron James, so he has that gravity, but like Luca is still a player who can get a bucket whenever he wants. He's a player who consistently is a offensive demon on the court. He is able to get to his spots. He's able to get those shots and able to win his teams or win games for his team. And he is a difference maker on the court. And I think he is a top four player in the league.
I feel like Luca has just over his career has continued to make the most of a bad hand that he's been drawn. Um, no absolutely insane teams he's been on, which has been one of the reasons why he hasn't been able to win a championship. When he did make it to the finals with a solid team, he gets hurt and they're not even really able to compete against the Celtics. He gets suddenly traded to the Lakers. He's having to fit in there. The Lakers never felt like a true contender with this LeBron, Austin Reeves, Luca type deal, but nevertheless, Luca continues to kind of stay the course and just give you eye-catching basketball and change teams. You've got Luca on your team, you're gonna compete. And what like I was thinking of, if you put Luca on a lot of the other teams in the league, it's a championship caliber roster by far.
Yeah, and I truly do believe that he is he is he's in that top caliber of a player. He's in that S tier of a player where I think that some people are discrediting him because of his success and his but like I like what you said, he's been dealt a pretty crap hand.
At number five, like I was talking about, my four and five that I feel like until something says otherwise, they're my top five because what some of them have accomplished and just how perennial some of them are, like Wemby already. But at number five, I've got Giannis, new member of the Miami Heat. Sure, last season he was off the court injured at times because he had lost interest to play for the Bucks and compete for the Bucks. But when he's playing, he's just an incredible basketball player. He's already done so much in his career, won MVPs, won a championship. And when he's playing and locked in on playing, which he will be this year for the Heat, I think he's going to be back to competing for the MVP again.
Yeah, I think he's an MVP caliber player and people uh and when he steps on the court, he's a defensive powerhouse and he's able to get these numbers that are incredible for his style of basketball. He's not a lethal shooter. He's not shoot the ball, but he still gets his buckets and the fact that he's such a paint dominant player where I think that, his his bag isn't as deep on the offensive side, but he's getting buckets at will because he's just such he's a Greek freak. He's so athletic, he's so big, and he's an incredible player to watch.
When you can get a stop on one end, get the ball in your hands, and go to the other basket and score in the blink of an eye on two dribbles, he's just unstoppable. And I mean, obviously, like, yes, I said health, but he actually has had some injury issues, which have been frustrating to watch because a lot of people like Giannis and like to watch Giannis. So I really hope he's able to stay healthy and get back to where he has been in the past because he takes great care of himself. He really does. The injuries just happen sometimes with how he plays, but I would love to just see a peak Giannis season this season because I don't feel like he's out of his prime. I feel like he can still give it to you. At number six, this is where I feel like we're going to start getting into some debate. I'm shocked that you've agreed all five with me so far, but
I'm
I feel
wondering where
like
your number six is.
okay, because I feel like we really are on the same wavelength with a lot of these combos. I like you watch the same game as me, you kind of see it. But I feel like this is where we're going to start getting into some debate. This is where I even struggled a little bit. I had to cross out and move some stuff around. Sorry, I'm keeping you waiting. But at number six, I've got a guy that I have grown some respect for, but was not the biggest fan of for a while because of his spunk and energy playing the game. But it's Anthony Edwards I've got at number six. I feel like how young this guy is for the scoring talent he is just insane. And the T-Wolves rely so much on him as that cornerstone, and he's proven that he can be it. And sure, they haven't made it to the finals yet, but they get to the Western Conference Finals every freaking year, it feels like beside this year. So I've got Ant at number six. We can debate that, it looks like.
But like you see number six, I would put Jalen Brunson
Well,
because
I've got Brunson at seven. So let's talk about it.
I just think that Jalen Brunson, he is now proven that he is a playoff performer, a regular season performer. He puts up great numbers. He's even taken a step back and that he's not just playing iso ball, he's also distributing the ball, but still putting up great numbers. Uh, I feel like Ant, yeah, he's a great player, but he has a lot of promise. I think his age definitely boosts him up these kind of lists. But at the end of the day, he still is just not gotten it done. And I think that in this upcoming season, I still think that Jalen Brunson will be a better basketball player all around than Anthony Edwards.
I mean, if you were to put Ant on the Knicks, do you think instead of Brunson, do you think they would have won the
Well,
finals?
won the finals? No,
No.
no, I don't think
And actually,
Anthony.
now that I'm thinking about the statement that I just said, I honestly kind of agree with you.
I just don't think that Anthony Edwards is a dog. He is a top 10 player in the league. I just think that Jalen Brunson, he has proved. I mean, last season people wouldn't even put Jalen Brunson in their top 10. He is just a player that he, he is the second best or third best point guard in the league, and I truly believe that because I think that he is in that S tier caliber of a point guard now, and the fact that he just gets a bucket whenever he wants. He's able to uh, destroy defenses so like methodically in the fact that he's able to get to a spot no matter what and get a bucket where I feel like Anthony Edwards he is on a little bit of a worse team, but I still don't think that Anthony Edwards is having that amount of success that Jalen Brunson is going to have this upcoming season.
I knew the debate was going to be where do we place Brunson after this run? Because now I'm super high on Brunson now. Obviously, you're high on Brunson, but we're putting Brunson at six. We'll put Ann at seven. But I did want to bring up this point. I don't know how I came to it at first. When I made my initial rankings, I had Ant six, Brunson at eight, and I had Jason Tatum at number
Oh,
seven.
you're gonna put a Celtic over him?
I had Jason Tatum at number seven. So I'd like to argue him around oh, I'll give you a moment, bro. I'll give you a moment. But again, with Jason Tatum, I really do feel like he is a top player. And I've really like thought about Jason Tatum a lot lately with some of our Celtics conversations. And he really is just a franchise guy, a franchise altering player. He's already won a championship. He is a very sound star that I just feel like I don't know. The talk with Jason Tatum right now is in a really weird spot. I feel like he's overlooked, but not that injury threw a wrench into things. But I feel like he's a top 8 player in the league.
Yeah, I'm interested. Do you have Jaylen Brown at all on your top 10?
I do not have him in the top 10.
And
I have him to conversate about right on the
I
edge.
think Jaylen Brown is an interesting player to mention when we were mentioning Tatum and the fact that, Tatum, he is coming back. He is a great player. He is a top 10 player in my opinion. But like Jaylen Brown is so interesting in the fact the season he just had was incredible. But I think with him being on the Sixers, I don't think he will be a top 10 player
I
because he
think
has
you
to
look at the
distribute the
Jaylen Brown
rock a little bit
season
more.
without Tatum is how you have to kind of view it. Yes,
Hmm.
Jaylen Brown has the ability to do that when it's all his team, but Tatum could do the same thing healthy, like we talked about last week.
Yeah, I think I agree with it. I think Jason Tatum being 8 is very fair. I think that he is going to have that kind of year this year. It's kind of his team, and I think he's going to produce the same numbers that Jaylen Brown did, maybe even better in success wise. Because I think that Jason Tatum is an incredible player, and people have forgot because he's been gone for so long. I think I played on. He came back from Achilles injury,
And it's
and
less than a season.
in less than a season, and he was putting up incredible points and stats, which is insane. With the whole offseason to develop and really dial in his health, I think he's going to be an incredible player this upcoming season.
This season is going to be one that can cement him with the top players in this league, I feel like, because he already has the accolades. And the Celtics are always going to be a competitor no matter what. So this is a big season for him to kind of change some people's narrative about him and stamp himself near the top of the best players in the NBA. So that was kind of my top 8 players pretty cemented. And then at 9 and 10, I feel like it's really up for debate. At my 9, I have Cade Cunningham. At my 10, I have Donovan Mitchell, but I felt like it was worth talking over Kawhi, Kevin Durant, and Jaylen Brown as well, and even some other guys I'm forgetting.
I think it's Cade and D Mitch. I agree with that. I think they have to be on there. Kawhi had a better season towards the end of the season, not the whole season. And I think D Mitch and Cade had continual great seasons, and I think they're going to continue to have
To have those
even
great
better
seasons.
seasons next year. So I agree with that. I think that's the right thing to do. Or I think KD, I don't think we put him in the season he just had. I think he's gonna have a similar, if not worse season this year. I just think the Rockets is gonna be a struggle bus really this upcoming season. Jaylen Brown is an interesting player to mention in my opinion because we're not gonna know how he looks on this Sixers roster. He's going to have to spread the ball a lot more. Like he on the Celtics, he just had to spread it to Jason Tatum. Now he's gonna have to spread to Maxey, Joel, potentially LeBron, Edgecombe. Like I think that he's not gonna have this MVP caliber season where I think he is capable of being in those talks. But I going into the season, I do think that Cade and D Mitch are 9 and 10 for this top 10.
And I mean, I guess we can go bonus. Like we can rank these guys and throw in anyone else we need. I would say if I were to rank these guys, I would go Jaylen Brown, Kawhi, KD.
100%. 100%. I agree
Anyone
with that.
else I forgot to put down that's worth mentioning? I mean, I don't feel like LeBron's in that range. Um,
I
I
mean,
don't
maybe
know.
Tyrese Halliburton. Uh, we don't really know how he's gonna
Yeah,
look. Tyrese Halliburton could easily be
I
in.
think Tyrese Halliburton could be in the top 10 by the end of the
Yeah, I
season.
think that he could be definitely in that 8, 9, 10 talk. Uh, definitely easily p pushing D Mitch out.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think that he could have a season where he could be up there by Anthony Edwards, Brunson, and Tatum. I think he could really show himself and show how he can perform during the regular season and in the playoffs. But we'll see how he recovers from
It's
this.
like I mentioned last week, I'm so incredibly high on them and high on him, and so excited to see how this team looks with him because he is just another player that cares so much. Like when he was getting fat, whatever, from whatever he had going on, he was reading those comments and feeling terrible. And he has been in the gym, getting back because he just wants to be back out there playing. Like if I was out there in a game 7, getting it going early and to go down with that injury and lose that game, like you've just got to be like that's just hell. Like you've got to be itching to get back out on that court, um, out on the court in the regular season. And
Yeah,
so I think he's got a good season ahead of him.
I completely agree. I think he could have an incredible season. He is a very he has this like drive in the back of his head, and the fact he's made it to the finals. He's made it to game 7 of the finals. He's fully capable of doing this. So I think he has all the motivation he needs.
He'll have a chip on his shoulder from the rest of his career because that moment is just going to live so vividly in his head for the rest of his life. So it's going to be a fun season for the Pacers. So that's going to be our top 10 right there. I've got one more debate for us to cover before we wrap up. It was what one I saw on Twitter, and at first I was like, this is a really good debate. But now I've had about a week to like look at it, and I feel like it's easier than people were letting on. But people were saying like, wow, this is a very even debate with how you rank these players. So rank these 4 players all time. Kyrie, who we talked about last week, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard, and Paul George,
All time.
all time.
Uh Clay, Kyrie, you said Clay, Kyrie, Dame, and
PG-13, Paul George.
I think you have to put Clay number one.
I
He
think for
is
sure.
he's changed the game in his shooting aspects. Him and Stephen Curry, the Splash Bros, they completely changed the game and how we see it today, and how efficient a player can be from three, and how much of a difference that can make. And he's got the championships,
He's
buddy.
got the chips to show for it.
And
Sure,
he has a
he was with
and
Curry. Sure, he was with KD, but he was a vital piece of those teams too. And on any given night when Curry and KD didn't have it going, Clay could have it going and be hitting 10 threes in your face.
and he dated Megan Thee Stallion, and he has a boat. So that solidifies him at number one. After that, I would say
And he ate eggs afternoon too.
don't even get me started with
Eggs
those.
eggs after 11.
uh, Kyrie would be two for me.
You're seeing it, bro. Like, this is what I'm saying. I feel like when you really break this debate down, it's simple.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, Clay's won the most championships.
Kyrie has a
Kyrie's
championship.
Kyrie has a championship, so that's 1 and 2 pretty easily right there. I think the debate really comes where you rank Dame and Paul George.
I
Uh,
know who I have my 3.
Dame is a player that's only played for 2 teams in his whole career. He played for the Blazers and the Bucks. He's a great scorer. He's a lethal scorer, lethal shooter. Uh, but I mean, Paul George has bounced around the league. He puts out pretty good numbers, all right numbers. But at the end of the day, I think I would put Damian Lillard at three, Paul George
Dame
at four.
has unreal playoff moments. He continues to be maybe the most clutch player of all time. He can go out there and win a 3-point contest on one leg, and he just has more signature moments over his career than anything Paul George has really done. Sure, Paul George at his prime was an incredible talent, but I think he's four on this list.
Yeah, I just think it's like I think that at the end of the day, like Damian Lillard hit that clutch shot over Paul George, bro. Like, I
That
think
might
that
as
just kind
well
of
seal it. We've
solidifies it.
seen it in
Like, I
real
mean, we've
time.
seen it that he's just a better player, and I think that Damian Lillard has had an incredible career. He just has been dealt a horrible hand in the fact that he's never been on championship contending team, where I think he could be. He's an elite player in the fact of that. I think he's kind of like Allen Iverson-esque in the fact that he's a smaller guard that has really been able to get buckets when he wants. He just hasn't gotten any championship or he has zero accolades to really prove himself.
All right. So that'll about wrap it up for the show today. Obviously, we're gonna have Milo's minute. Cannot forget that. But episode two got it done. It's gonna definitely a little later than we initially wanted to get it done, but we are still committed to getting these episodes weekly, still committed to doing content. As soon as we're able to get back in a flow, we're gonna be pumping it out again. We're really hoping to set up a call when we both have time to get out some really interesting content, some NBA wavelength, some 82 and 0 type stuff, some really more fun short form content than just clips from these podcasts. Um, Subscribe here on YouTube. We got a lot of followers on all the accounts, but not enough people coming over to YouTube so far. Come over here, drop a sub. It doesn't hurt to just come hit that button for us. Follow us on social media. Again, on all social media, we're at the StatPad Pod. Listen to us on Spotify and just email us this week or DM us on any of those accounts because we want to be able to talk about the things you guys want to hear. We want to go over debates that would be interesting to y'all instead of what we just come up with for the schedule or see around lately. So that'll about wrap it up. Let me get my timer up. You get charged up, buddy. We got Milo's minute this week.
Right. Let me know. Let me know.
All right. About to hit start. You're
Yeah.
rolling.
I would like to bring up World Cup talk because it is absolutely a crime what Thomas Tuchel did for England. He subbed off Declan Rice, one of the greatest defense or one of the best defensive midfielders in the world right now, against a team, an Argentinian team, and just let them seize fire on their whole entire defense, letting Messi roam free on the wing, nobody within a 20-foot radius of him, putting in cross after cross after cross. It is actually criminal what he has done. It never is coming home because England is absolutely horribly coached. Their players don't want it. And Messi just took advantage of that. Argentina completely deserved to win that because uh they subbed in Burn, who played at striker. Like, yeah, he's tall, but that's never getting it done. My
It
gosh,
was
bro.
an absolute act of terrorism. I won't talk anymore to steal Milo's rant about it, but maybe they take France down today. But
Mm,
that'll wrap it up for episode two of the StatPad podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week. We'll be out on social medias. Thanks for watching.